Okay, so through those trees you've got Euston. If I focus up on it, you'll see the Euston sign. I just came out. There was the inevitable clutch of beggars that you find outside stations. One was a Romany selling the big issue, a Romany woman. I actually take issue with that. It was really for the indigenous homeless initially, and now the not only have these Romany immigrants taken away a lot of the homes, increasing the indigenous homeless, but now they've actually decided to take their lifeline away as well and actually become big issue sellers. So there's something to have an issue with. There's a nice big issue for you to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. See, what I've said before, and people can criticise me for this if they like, it's not about race. They're racially indistinct from Indians, and I like Indians. But what they've decided to do, and this is their culture, so it's culturalism or lack of culturalism. Well, I mean, obviously it is a kind of culture, it's just a culture which is in opposition to ours. But the problem is, as I've said this before, and this is what I've got against them, they want it both ways. On the one hand, they say they want to be different to us, they want to be separate to us. So if we say, well, that's fine then, here's your mountain, live on it, leave us in peace. They won't. They want to be right in the thick of it. And where the crowds are deepest of us, that's where you'll find them with their long fingers dipping into our pockets or begging. And generally getting in the way as they fleece a society that they claim to reject. They want it both ways, they're hypocrites. That's why I don't like gypsies, okay, I don't like Roma, alright? And they say, oh, they're disadvantaged. If you say you don't want to be part of society, you want to be separate, then why should the society be giving them any advantages? Let them become part of society and sign on the dotted line for society the way the rest of us have to endure it, and stop pretending to be wild people, you know, on the one hand, but then expect us to bankroll them non-stop on the other, okay? Got to come down on one side or the other. That's what I don't like about them. Yeah? It's not the way they look, it's not their music, it's not their food. I don't think I've ever eaten their food. I certainly wouldn't eat it from them consciously, because they don't look very sanitary in most cases. Not to my understanding of sanitation. They may have their own very primitive rules of sanitariness, and I'm sure that the culture's got plenty of things in it, you know, that if you actually took it, made it pure and said, okay, here's your place, stick to it, do a gypsy, have a Roma pure settlement here if that's what you want, but then don't have it both ways. Don't you know, we'll fund you it and then stick to it. Don't be coming and stealing and begging. You know, do your handicrafts, we'll come and see you and buy them when we want them, if we want them. We'll trade like everybody else does. And I'm sure that given that, there'd be lots that you'd see in their society that should be very interesting and very worthy. I'm sure there would be. It's this double standard that I don't get on with. I think I've said what I want to say on that. So welcome to University College Hospital. There's the BT Tower, used to be called the Post Office Tower. Then the British Telecoms Tower, now it's called the BT Tower. And it won't be long before somebody comes along and calls it some other nonsense, like the Condori Tower or something, or the something else, no doubt perfectly stupid. And yeah, it's a slight rain, it's a light rain. Sky's looking like it is. And I've got a new suit that I bought for the conference. Obviously I'm not going to chuck it out after the conference. I bought it to be new at the conference, but I'm going to use it, well, the one I bought in Beijing last year, and I'm just getting ready to show those films as we speak. I'm now back to being a year behind on my backlog. Oh, that's interesting. University College London, probably, if I'm not mistaken. Black History Month. Okay. No, I don't have a problem with Black History Month. They've got a history as well. Why not have it? If they want to spend a month learning about it, that's good. There's Cameron Black. He's Fit Out Contractor of the Year 2012. It's not 2012 now, but nevertheless. And we come into the Grant Museum of Zoology. 19th century collection with 21st century ideas. Well, I hope they don't have Darwinism in there, because it's a 19th century idea. But anyway, the Grant Thornton Museum, nightmare. Grant Thornton probably should be in a museum, but there we are. The Grant Museum of Zoology. Accessible route, nice. Anyway, what I decided to do, oh yeah, and I saw another tube coming out of Euston Station. I saw another couple of beggars. It's getting to the point where when I turn the camera off, something happens, rather than turn the camera on, something will happen. But the two beggars that I saw were talking. One of them had a quite interesting accent, very soft, but foreign. Probably some kind of an East European, but I'm not sure which. She was going, "Oh, the people are so rude and cold." Yeah, like that. She was saying that, complaining. I may be filling in the blanks a bit, but as it was just, that was all I heard, just that bit as I went by. I may be filling in the blanks, I may be a completely different context, but I got the impression from those words that she was complaining to her fellow beggar about the fact that she was sometimes met with discourtesy by people while in the process of begging from them. Well, there we go. There's a shock. So we have a fine, outstanding East European. Oh, these people are amazed and photographing something. I have to find out what they're photographing. Missing my home, called Mummy. Sorry. So I've managed to chase away other filmers. So somebody's nicked this person's. Those kids were amazed at this, the idea. But obviously, somebody seems to have nicked that person's Wendy house, and the mother is placing the advert requesting a return, playing on people's emotions, pretending to be the child writing it, or maybe got the child to write it. You can help me write the poster for the return of lost goods or stolen goods. You'll probably be doing this a lot in your life, so start early, dear darling, or whatever they call children these days. It's obviously autumn and a lot of the leaves are on the ground, and I'm picking them up bit by bit. First time I ever used the Creative Vado was on Tottenham Court Road, and this indeed is Tottenham Court Road, so it's like the Vados come home again. First time I got my first Creative Vado, it wasn't an HD, the first one. I had one normal one, and then since then I had two of this kind, the Creative. I like Vados, Creative Vados, the Creative Vado HD Plus. Eat beautiful. Then none of them are particularly fat, so that probably reflects the health and happiness motto here, that you're healthy if you're not fat. But these leaves certainly seem to be catching up in my wheels a lot down there. I took a different trolley with me today just to show the world that I've got more than one. This has different stuff in it that I need for today. prête à manger. Yeah? Ready to eat. Of course it means ready to be eaten, but in French you don't really say prête à être mangé, you say prête à manger, which is a little bit ambiguous because you don't know whether it's ready to be eaten or ready to actually eat something else. And if you put that into the sexual arena, of course it could lead to embarrassment. So far from the French being the language of love, I think it's a language of confoundment when it comes to the bedroom. But anyhow, Greggs. Welcome to the home of fresh baking, they say, and there's something called loaf, a nice old English word, clave, again, clave, and to knead a loaf was clave digan, and clave dia was a loaf kneader, a person who at home would knead the bread, therefore the woman of the house would be the loaf kneader. The kneader, as in Knea, was la diga, like digging into the dough with your hands. And this, strangely enough, this clave digue gives us the etymology of the word lady. Obviously, lady couldn't possibly come from the French root because laide means ugly, and nobody would accuse most ladies of being laid in that sense. They might be laid, but they're not led. Okay. So Tottenham Court Road, walking down Tottenham Court Road, as in the old days when I used to come here and buy my first creative. This one afterwards I got off the internet. So I've bought my first creative in a shop down here, Fit Creative Vado. So it has a certain meaning for the channel, this road, this Tottenham Court Road. It is of course the place where you're going to find lots of electronic shops. And before, when you've seen me walk here, it was in the opposite direction, so this won't look familiar coming in this direction too much. Anyhow, yeah, so I decided, since I was in the mood for a bit more of filming, I don't really want to film the things that we're going to be doing on the conference so much, because I'm taking photographs of the people and the things that we're doing on the conference with a different camera. This is for my channel, my own channel, and therefore, you know, rather than mix up the affairs of the colleagues and everything into it, you'll occasionally see snitches of colleagues of mine in some of the films that I've taken while on conference, but you know, that's incidental. When I think that the people that are good sports and won't mind being in there, but in the main I don't mix those two necessarily up. So I do some films, some photo taking, make a little film for the conference now. I've done that in Beijing and I did it in Copenhagen, and now they asked me to do it actually as an official moment. So so that puts a bit of pressure on the whole thing and makes me actually, isn't that nice? How many different colours there is on that? And yeah. What's interesting though sometimes is to go through parts of London that are like this, doing the old left right. So you take the first right turn, and then the first left turn that presents itself, you can take that, and then the first right again and the first left, etc. Then you come across things you might not know, like Pollock's Toys. If you start at a random point like I did just now, and then start doing the old left right, Pollock's Toy Museum. So there you go, it's an old museum of older toys, shop of toys. It's called museum, of course, but like many things that are called museum, what it really is a shop which is adding to its tourist pull by calling itself a museum. That's very commonly done these days. You say Amber Museum or Beer Museum in the Czech Republic, Amber Museum in the Dominican Republic, and because they call it a museum, you think, oh, it's a museum. How does it cost to get in? Well, yes, there might be a museum there that actually has an entry price if you just want to go in and look at the pieces. But if you buy something, you might have your entry fee returned to you. So there's the pull to get you into the shop, and the main thing is, of course, to get you into the shop and buy overpriced junk. I'm not saying that any particular thing that I've just mentioned has overpriced junk, but that's basically the business model. Hopefully that's just kept me out of court. Anyhow, they do have these interesting maps, don't they, in London. Apart from the new cycle hire thing, along with the cycle hire, incidentally, the one in Warsaw is called Veturilo, which is it's not the Esperanto word for a bike, but it is. So there's Gouge Street coming up. Gouge Street has its own metro station, but I never really walk down Gouge Street much. There's Mortimer Street, Berners Street, and what have you, Oxford Street along there. So if I go down Mortimer Street, yes, I'm coming towards things. 15-minute walk, it says, from here to, well, over halfway to the hotel. So that makes it less than a half-hour walk to the hotel. I've been doing this for nearly 20 minutes from the station, from when I got off the train. What did I have? I've actually got only 25 minutes, so that's not going to do it. That's a bit unfortunate. I have to get my act together more than I thought I did. Maybe I have to stop filming, therefore, and get my act together a little bit to get to the event at 1:30 on time in the hotel. I had the impression I had more time than I've got. I thought it would be more interesting anyway to walk it and to take public transport. And of course the other thing that I didn't think about is that I haven't eaten lunch. All I want is a pie, really. Or something like that. A pasty. It's interesting, isn't it, though, going back to what I saw coming out of the station, you know, the beggars criticising the people that wouldn't give them money as being, you know, rude and cold people, to sort of like have homilies on good manners for the rest of society, when they themselves have been so kind and chivalrous as to be complete dropouts from society themselves. Seems to me as though it's a funny position to be lecturing the rest of humanity on when you decided to simply drop yourself out of the game. You know, maybe I'm not seeing it from their perspective. Maybe I'm too intolerant. I don't know, but it's a difficult one. There are so many ways of, in this country, not in every country, but in this country, there's so many ways of getting helped if you're not a complete loser, that it's difficult to have much sympathy for the people that are left on the street. Right. Well, I'd better stop, hadn't I? It's been another 18 minutes of fun and discussion and showing you what London looks like if you're remotely interested. And Fitzroy Place, heard of that? But I have to probably get my act together a little bit. And also the rain, which was just spotting it down as I came out of the station, is now about twice as heavy. and that might mean that I should go for my umbrella shortly. So it's all pointing in the direction of stopping filming, I'm afraid. But thanks for the company so far.